Julius Caesar. Julius Caesar, a tragic play by William Shakespeare, was written around 1599 to 1600 and later published in the first folio of 1623. Despite its title, the central focus lies on the character of Brutus, who speaks more than 4 times as many lines as Julius Caesar. Brutus, influenced by jealous conspirators led by Cassius, joins a plot to assassinate Julius Caesar. Their aim is to prevent Caesar from becoming a tyrant and gaining too much power. On the Ides of March, they carry out the assassination. In the aftermath, Mark Antony stirs up hostility against the conspirators, plunging Rome into a civil war. In the ensuing conflict, Antony drives the conspirators out of Rome and engages them in battle. Brutus and his friend Cassius meet their demise, taking their own lives. The victory falls to Antony, who assumes control and rules over Rome. Major characters: Brutus, a staunch supporter of the Republic, believing in a government guided by senators' votes. Despite his friendship with Caesar, he fears his ambition for dictatorship. Manipulated by Caesar's enemies, Brutus is convinced that Caesar's death is necessary to protect the Republic. His unwavering sense of honor leads him to see it as a noble sacrifice for Rome's greater good. As the tragic hero, he struggles with conflicting loyalties between Caesar and the state. Julius Caesar, a celebrated Roman general and senator returning to Rome triumphant from his military conquests. While some, including Brutus, worry about his potential thirst for power, Caesar declines the crown, suggesting he may not seek absolute authority. Nevertheless, he is not without flaws, unable to separate his personal life from the public. Seduced by adoration, he ignores warnings and threats against his life, considering himself as immortal as the North Star. Antony, a close friend of Caesar, initially siding with the conspirators for self-preservation. However, at Caesar's funeral, he skillfully turns the tide against Brutus with his masterful rhetoric. Moved by emotion, tears in his eyes, and Caesar's will in hand, Antony sways the crowd to revolt against the conspirators. His ambition is evident in his desire to exclude Lepidus from power. Cassius, a talented general and long-time acquaintance of Caesar. Cassius dislikes Caesar's godlike image among the Romans. Using cunning tactics, he convinces Brutus that Caesar's power poses a threat to Rome. By sending forged letters, he persuades Brutus to join the conspiracy. Cassius is opportunistic and lacks integrity, understanding the pragmatism of politics. Despite his unscrupulous methods, he achieves success. Summary of the play. Act 1. Morallus and Flavius, Roman dudes, crash the party celebrating Caesar's return. Caesar's buddy, Mark Antony, joins the games. Some stranger warns Caesar about the Ides of March. Brutus and Cassius, who are senators, worry about Caesar's power. They think he might become emperor. Cassius is jealous and Brutus is conflicted. Conspirator Casca shares plebeian ceremony offering Caesar a crown thrice. In Act 2, Cassius and pals trick Brutus to join the conspiracy. They visit Brutus at night to convince him. They plan to kill Caesar. Brutus is troubled but doesn't tell his wife Portia. On March 15, Calpurnia urges Caesar not to go to the Senate due to her dreams. Act 3. Despite warnings, Caesar goes to the capital. Conspirators stab him, including Brutus. Caesar says, "Et tu, Brute," before dying. Act 3. Brutus allows Antony to speak at Caesar's funeral, but he speaks first. Brutus explains the conspiracy's reasons. Antony questions the conspirators' motives and reads Caesar's will. The crowd gets angry and chases the conspirators out of Rome. Brutus and Cassius gather an army in Act 4. They quarrel but reconcile. They prepare to fight Antony's forces at Philippi. Brutus hears about his wife's death and sees Caesar's ghost. In Act 5, Republicans seem to win at first. Cassius fears defeat and kills himself. Brutus commits suicide. Antony praises him and orders a funeral for Brutus. Antony and Octavius take control in Rome. Themes of the play. In Julius Caesar, Shakespeare explores the interplay between fate and free will through the characters' actions and beliefs. Cassius rejects the idea of fate, seeing it as an excuse for passivity. He believes that individuals can shape their destinies through assertiveness and courage. On the other hand, Caesar acknowledges that some events are beyond human control, advocating for fearless acceptance of destiny. The play suggests that fate and free will coexist, and facing life with bravery and honor is a way to transcend the limitations of fate. Caesar's legacy, as seen through the defeat of Brutus and Cassius, demonstrates the power of his unwavering spirit and refusal to fear fate. In Julius Caesar, much of the tragedy stems from characters prioritizing the public good over their private feelings and loyalties. Brutus, driven by a sense of duty to the people, neglects his personal relationships, including his close friendship with Caesar, and participates in his assassination. Cassius, on the other hand, obsessively cultivates his public persona, suppressing any sense of personal honor and becoming a ruthless schemer. Caesar, too, prioritizes his public image over his personal safety, leading to his downfall. The characters' neglect of their private selves and their inability to differentiate between their public and personal identities ultimately lead to devastating consequences for all. The play explores the power of rhetoric as well in shaping authority and influencing people. Caesar's absolute authority is established early on, as his commands are unquestioningly followed. Words are portrayed as a tool to move hearts and minds, demonstrated when Antony cleverly deceives the conspirators and later wins the crowd's favor through persuasive rhetoric. Brutus also appeals to the crowd's love of liberty and his own esteemed reputation to justify the assassination of Caesar. Antony's masterful use of persuasive language whips the masses into a frenzy, leading them to shift their favor without realizing their fickleness. The play highlights how skillful manipulation of words can be the most powerful form of authority, shaping the course of events and influencing public sentiment. Julius Caesar also delves into the concept of tyranny and whether Caesar can be considered one. Brutus is torn between believing that Caesar seeks power for himself or if the people are pushing power onto him. Cassius argues that absolute power will eventually turn Caesar into a tyrant. In Act 4, the dispute over tyranny is central when Brutus and Antony speak at Caesar's funeral. Antony successfully proves that Caesar rejected personal power and shared victories with the people. The play suggests that the perception of tyranny depends on the perspective of the beholder. Antony's speech sways the public to see Caesar as someone who would never resort to tyranny, challenging Brutus's justification for the assassination. In Julius Caesar, honor is depicted as a virtue of selflessness, rationality, and pride. Brutus stands out as the epitome of honor, recognized by for all his noble reputation. His honorable character is exploited by Cassius to legitimize the assassination plot. Even after causing turmoil, Brutus retains his esteemed image. His honor is evident in the rational decision to kill Caesar for the greater good of Rome, not out of envy. Loyalty is another aspect of honor portrayed through profound friendships, such as between Brutus and Cassius and Caesar and Antony. However, excessive loyalty leads to political strife as it is used to manipulate and incite conflict. Ultimately, honor is a complex and powerful force shaping the character's actions and the fate of the Republic.